2 failed sodas, no degree, no money, no connections. Just a broke salesman from a tiny Missouri town who had already been burned twice by the very industry he was trying to crack. The year was 1929. The American economy was days away from its worst collapse in history. And this man chose that exact moment to launch a drink nobody asked for, with a pharmaceutical ingredient nobody expected, and a name so long it could barely fit on a label. Everyone in the industry thought he was done. He was just getting started. This is the story of Charles Leiper Grigg, the forgotten founder behind one of the most recognized drinks on the planet. You've seen that green bottle your whole life, but the man who built it from nothing? Almost no one knows his name. The salesman nobody expected. Charles Grigg was born on May 11, 1868 in Price's Branch, Missouri. Not exactly the birthplace of business legends. Small town, modest means, no clear path forward. Grigg didn't go to university. He didn't study chemistry, business, or marketing. He finished basic school and got to work because that was simply what you did when you grew up without options. His early jobs were humble. Selling ad space for local newspapers, hardware sales. Nothing glamorous, nothing that pointed even remotely toward a billion-dollar empire. But something was quietly building in Grigg that no classroom could have taught him. He was learning people. Every sales job gave him a front-row window into how consumers actually thought, what made them pick one product over another, how the way something was presented could matter just as much as what it actually was. In his early 20s, Grigg moved to St. Louis, a booming city full of commerce and ambition. He found work as an advertising salesman. For the first time, he was surrounded by the energy of real business. But there was a growing tension inside him. He was spending his days writing ads for other people's products, building other people's brands. Every campaign he designed made someone else wealthier. And the longer he did it, the clearer it became. He wanted something of his own. St. Louis at the time was a hotbed for soda innovation. Bottling plants were expanding, and Grigg noticed something that lodged itself in his mind. People didn't buy a drink once. If they liked it, they kept coming back. That kind of loyalty was unlike anything he'd seen in hardware or ad space. He wasn't rich. He wasn't connected. He had no lab, no investors, no formal plan. But he had patience and instinct. And he started watching the market very, very carefully. The first win and the first betrayal. In 1919, Grigg joined the Vess Soda Company in St. Louis. And he didn't just show up to sell, he created. He developed a carbonated orange drink he called Whistle. Sharp, distinct, not drowning in sugar. Consumers noticed. The drink sold. And for the first time in his career, Grigg had real proof that his instincts were right. But success revealed something ugly. He didn't own Whistle. The formula belonged to Vess. The executives saw Grigg as an employee, useful but not a partner. As the drink became more profitable, the tension escalated. Grigg pushed for more control over what he had built. Management pushed back harder. And then they pushed him out entirely. He left with nothing. No rights, no royalties, no claim to the product he had invented. For most people, that would have been the end of the story. For Grigg, it became the defining lesson of his life. Talent without ownership means nothing. You can build something brilliant and walk away empty-handed if someone else holds the paperwork. He made a decision. The next thing he created would be fully, legally, undeniably his. The pivot that changed everything. Grigg didn't stop. He partnered with bottler Frank Gladney and businessman Edmund Ridgway, and together they formed the Howdy Company, launching its flagship product, Howdy Orange. This time, he owned it. He poured everything he'd learned from Whistle into the formula of balanced citrus, strong carbonation, and appealing branding. The problem? Orange Crush already existed. And Orange Crush had national distribution, established bottling contracts, and marketing muscle that Howdy simply couldn't match. Retailers asked the most brutal question in business: why do we need another orange soda? Grigg didn't have a great answer. But instead of forcing the same product harder into a wall, he stopped and observed. He noticed something shifting in consumer behavior. People were gravitating toward lighter, crisper drinks, something refreshing without the heavy sweetness of traditional sodas. Nobody in the market was serving that need. So he made a decision that would define the rest of his life. He pivoted. Not a small adjustment, a complete creative reset. He began experimenting with an entirely new flavor direction, lemon lime, a category that didn't yet exist in mainstream soda. 2 failures behind him, investors needing results, and he chose to go in a direction nobody had tried before. The strangest formula in soda history. Working inside the Howdy Company, Greg built his lemon lime formula from scratch. Real citrus oils, lemon and lime extracts blended for a flavor profile that was sharp, clean, and forward, refreshing without being heavy. But he wanted the drink to do more than taste good. And here's where the story gets genuinely strange. He added lithium citrate. At the time, lithium compounds were legally used in health tonics and patent medicines, believed to stabilize mood and ease anxiety. Greg wasn't being reckless, he was following established wellness practice of his era. But he was the first person to blend it into a mainstream carbonated drink sold to the general public. On October 15, 1929, just 2 weeks before the stock market crash that would plunge America into the Great Depression, Greg launched the drink under the name Bib Label Lithiated Lemon Lime Soda. Yes, that was the actual name. It was a branding disaster. Technical, clinical, nearly impossible to remember, let alone ask for at a store counter. But here is the strange thing about terrible timing. Sometimes it's perfect timing in disguise. America was in economic freefall. Anxiety was skyrocketing across the country. And here was a drink that claimed, through its very formula, to calm your nerves and lift your mood. Pharmacists were intrigued. Word spread quietly. Sales were slow, but they were real. And Greg recognized that he had created something with genuine emotional value during a time of national distress. He just needed a name that didn't require a chemistry degree to pronounce. The name 7-Up. By the early 1930s, the drink had a clear future. The name did not. Greg simplified, stripped everything back, gave people something short, punchy, and impossible to forget. They landed on 7-Up. The origin was never officially confirmed. Theories ranged from the 7-ounce bottle to 7 ingredients to lithium's atomic mass. Consumers didn't need an explanation. They just needed a name they could hold on to. With the new identity, 7-Up spread fast. New bottling partnerships, new markets. Beyond Missouri, beyond the Midwest. Its appeal rested on a powerful contrast. Colorless, caffeine-free, light. Where colas were dark and heavy and caffeinated, 7-Up felt clean, almost wholesome. Greg leaned hard into that image. Early ads featured families, mothers, children, subtly positioning the drink not as an indulgence, but as a healthy everyday choice. It was brilliant positioning for the era, and it worked exactly as intended. By the mid-1930s, 7-Up was no longer a regional curiosity. It was a legitimate national player and growing fast. The FDA ban. Through the 1940s, the world kept throwing obstacles at the brand. World War II brought rationing, restricted ingredients, and tightened budgets across the entire industry. Companies that couldn't adapt simply vanished. 7-Up adapted. Its caffeine-free formula, originally a health positioning move, became a real supply chain advantage when cola ingredients faced wartime pressure. Families stocking up during uncertain times gravitated toward the simple, reliable green bottle. Then in 1948, something happened that should have been catastrophic. The FDA banned lithium from food and beverage products. The very compound that had defined 7-Up's original identity. The mood-stabilizing ingredient that had made the drink stand out during the Depression was now illegal in the formula. Greg had died in 1940, so he never saw this moment. But the company he had built handled it with precision, removed the lithium quietly, made no announcement, changed nothing else. Sales didn't drop, not even slightly. That was the proof. 7-Up had stopped being a therapeutic drink and become something far more powerful, a habit, a taste memory. The lithium was gone, the loyalty wasn't. The Uncola era. By the late 1960s, 7-Up was a household name, but it was fighting Coca-Cola and Pepsi. These weren't just competitors, they were cultural institutions with deeper pockets and decades of locked-in loyalty. Going head-to-head directly would have been suicide. So 7-Up didn't. In 1969, backed by new resources following its acquisition by Westinghouse Electric Corporation, 7-Up's marketing team made a move that became a business school case study. They called it the Un-Cola. Not the better cola, not the new cola, the Un-Cola. A brand that defined itself entirely by what it wasn't. The campaign was visually explosive, with lemons, limes, tropical colors, a rebellious energy completely unlike the polished one of Coke and Pepsi. The message was clear: those drinks are the establishment, we are something else. It landed perfectly. The late 60s and 70s were a decade of cultural rebellion. An entire generation was questioning institutions, rejecting conformity, looking for something that felt different. And here was a soda doing exactly that. 7-Up didn't just gain market share, it gained cultural relevance. Younger consumers with no existing cola loyalty became loyal to 7-Up, not just because it tasted good, but because it felt like a statement. The Un-Cola campaign didn't just protect 7-Up, it transformed it into a genuine cultural icon. The legacy. In 1978, 7-Up was acquired by Philip Morris, one of the most aggressive consumer goods companies in the world. Distribution exploded. Vending machines, fast food chains, supermarket shelves coast to coast. The brand scaled in ways Grigg could have never imagined. In 1986, Philip Morris divested the beverage division. And in 1988 came the merger that reshaped the American soda landscape entirely. 7-Up joined Dr. Pepper, forming the third largest soft drink company in the United States, behind only Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. PepsiCo acquired the international rights, distributing 7-Up across Asia, Europe, and Latin America. In the US, the brand now sits within Keurig Dr. Pepper, part of a portfolio valued at over $46 billion as of 2025. From a broke salesman's lemon lime experiment, launched 2 weeks before economic collapse, to a $46 billion global portfolio, Charles Grigg never saw any of it. He died in 1940, just as 7-Up was finding its national footing. His name isn't in textbooks, it's not on the bottle. There's no famous speech, no viral origin story, no monument. But his belief shaped everything. People respond to simplicity. Give them something that makes them feel something, not just a flavor, but an emotion, and they'll keep coming back. That belief carried 7-Up from a Depression-era nerve tonic to a wartime household staple, to an Un-Cola rebellion, to a global brand sold in over 100 countries. He failed twice before he got it right, lost ownership of one product, watched a second stall. And he kept going. Grigg didn't just invent a soda, he proved that the right idea, held on to long enough, with enough stubbornness and enough belief, can outlast everything. What do you think of 7-Up's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this is the kind of story you want more of, make sure you subscribe. There are plenty more where this came from.